One, two, one, two, three.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous New Year's Eve. We are staying home and not doing anything like the rest of 2020, which sucks, but hopefully next year we can party hard. Today's video, we are going to talk about the books that I read in 2020. So, my really good friend Lexi, you should check her out at Reading in the Wings. She loves reading, and while we were on tour together, she influenced me to read more. And last year, my goal was to read 20 books, and I made it to 11. I made it to 11 because I started later in the year. And this year, 2020, my goal was to read 20 books for 2020, and I am happy to say I accomplished that goal. So I'm not going to go through every book. I'll tell you which books I read, and then I'll give you like my top 5 books that I loved reading. Yes, so I read 20 books in 2020, and then my goal for 2021 is to read 30 books. And I just love reading, and I'm so grateful to Lexi for getting me back into reading and going to bookstores. Yeah, so before we get into it, please don't forget to subscribe because it'll really support my channel. And we're going to go ahead, let me split this in half, and we're going to go ahead and talk about all my books. Okay, so the first book that I read in 2020 is called The Wife Between Us. It's sort of like a thriller-ish, super easy read, super fast read. That was the first book that I read in 2020. The second book was The Last Train to London. I love reading books about World War II and like Germany and France and all that kind of stuff. I find it very interesting and fascinating. So this is about a family or a boy who has to get out before the war in World War II. So I really loved this book. I thought it was a really good read. The next book I read was Devil in a Blue Dress. I got this while I was on tour. It's about a African-American man who is a veteran of the war in 1948, and it just like follows along his story. I thought it was really fascinating and interesting, and I've been trying to read a lot more by African-American authors because I think it's really important to hear their stories. So I really enjoyed this book. The next book is a love story, Modern Lovers. Super easy read, super fast read. I really enjoyed reading this book. I thought the story was really well executed. Okay, so then I've been dying to read this series, and I figured quarantine was the time to do it. This is The Alchemist. This is sort of like a spin-off of Harry Potter in which they talk about Nicholas Flamel. So in the first book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, they talk about Nicholas Flamel and his stone that he created to live on forever. So this is a spin-off series about Nicholas Flamel, and I enjoyed the first 3 books. I thought the world and the storytelling, it was very fast-paced. A lot was going on. You were like learning something new every time. So like the first 3 books of this series were really good. Then we got to the end, and the world sort of got really like too big for me. There were like multi-universes, and there were so many characters and so many storylines, and I was a little disappointed in the end, but I did enjoy the first 3 books. I thought that they were very well written and very well developed. The ending, however, was a little bit of a disappointment to me. Then I read Normal People because I wanted to watch the Hulu series. Really loved this book, and I really loved the Netflix adaptation. I thought it was really well executed. A wonderful story. I cried when I read this book. The next book I read, I was very excited about, The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. This is a prequel to The Hunger Games, and it's told in the perspective of President Snow. And I thought it was really interesting because you have this like vision of what he is now based on, you know, the 3 books and the movies and how evil he is, and it gives you a different side to him. So I enjoyed learning about where the Hunger Games came from to what we knew before. And I really enjoyed that book. This is my favorite author. So Lexi, again, got me into Kristen Hanna. She is an amazing writer. She writes stories with like real characters and real issues, and the character development in her books is, I think, why I love her so much. You really feel for each character or the main character. So this one is called Winter Garden, and it's about 2 girls and their mother, and the mother has a secret the whole time, and she doesn't want to tell her children what happened to her. Again, this is talking about World War II, but it's about Russia, like Russia's perspective. So I really love this book. I love all her books. I think Kristen Hanna, she's my favorite to read. Then I picked up, while I came back to New York, They Can't Kill Us All. Again, this is another African American author who tells his story about what it's like to be a black man in America. A really important story. I really highly recommend this book. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to reading more of these kinds of stories. This one, I don't know where I bought this one, but this is kind of like gray, like 50 Shades of Grey, which I like wasn't prepared for. So a little scandalous, a little it's about like a girl and three men, so super not what I was expecting, super fast read. I've had this one for a while. I tried to read through all of the books that I already owned before I went out and bought new books. This is The Paris Wife. This is actually really good. It took me a little bit to get into it, but it's about Ernest Hemingway and his wife. And I love that it's about a woman's perspective. I really love hearing about women's stories. So it took me a little bit to get into, but by the end I was really engaged, and it was a really quick read. This is another World War II book about Nazi Germany, and this is about the women who sort of like had to live in secret and support their men who were conspiring to kill Adolf Hitler. So another interesting perspective, a women's perspective on World War II in Germany. Again, I've got another Kristen Hanna book, True Colors. This is a really, really, really good book. It's about sisters, three sisters, her father. They live in the middle of nowhere. United States, on a farm, and it's about family and what happens when you upset your family. And it's also a murder mystery of did this man kill who he said he killed. It's also about our justice system. A really, really good book. Again, the character development in her books is amazing. This book I bought a while ago. It's called Less. I thought it was interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of flew through it, and not in a good way. I was just like, eh. It won a Pulitzer Prize. I enjoyed it. I just, I don't know. It didn't really grab my attention as much as all the other books that I read this year. And the last book that I read was Home Front. I'm not gonna lie, I cried when I read this. This is about a woman who goes off to war, leaves her children, and she ends up having her leg amputated, and it's like her struggle to get back to the woman that she was. Again, Kristen Hanna, she's my favorite author. So I really, really enjoyed that book. Okay, so if I had to pick a top 5, I think it would go like this. The Last Train to London. Really loved this book. I would highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in like World War II stories. The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. I love the Hunger Games world, and I know it's cliche and people think it's annoying, but like Twilight, Hunger Games, Harry Potter, I love those worlds. I think that they're really exciting to read them and then bring them to screen. So I liked seeing sort of like the pre-existing world of Pan Am that we know. So I enjoyed that book. And then my 3 Kristen Hanna books, Winter Garden, True Colors, and Home Front. I love her. I've also got her Nightingale, and I read Firefly Lane. If you're a new reader and you're looking for someone or an author that's like easy with a long, beautiful story, I highly recommend her. I also highly recommend, I didn't read it this year, I read it last year, Nightingale. They're making that a movie as well. And the character development between the 2 sisters is stunning. I couldn't recommend her as an author enough. Yeah, so those are the books that I read in 2020. 20 books for 2020. I have to say, I feel very accomplished having made my goal of reading 20 books. I did this because I was watching too much television, and I felt like I was not wasting time, but because TV, of course, I love TV and I love learning and watching the actors because I am an actor, but I wanted to get more into reading. I wanted to read more stories. I wanted to read the books that they were making into television shows, and I just feel like I can connect and like sort of escape and not watch television at night, and I can read my books. So my goal for next year to start on, I guess tomorrow, is going to be 30 books, and big news, I'm going to do another Harry Potter reread. So I haven't done a Harry Potter reread in I don't know how long, and I've got all of these different editions, so I figured I'd start out 2021 on a really positive note and read the Harry Potter series. So I don't know, we can make this a series, and I can sort of like, my plan is to do book 1, then watch the movie, book 2, then watch the movie. I mean, I watch the movies all the time, but I want to sort of like go back and remember how much they left out in the movies. So if you guys want to read along with me, I'm starting tomorrow on book 1, and then maybe we'll do like a debrief on book 1. But yeah, so that's my reading. If you guys have any questions about any of the books that I've read, if you guys have any suggestions of books that I should read, please leave a comment below. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, please don't forget to subscribe because it'll really support my channel. We're going into 2021. I'm going to push forward with this YouTube channel, so leave a comment below if there's anything specific you want to see. Other than that, have a happy new year, and I will see you guys in 2021.